Welcome to the New Orleans TV Inter Network System. Thursday morning in New Orleans, April the 23rd, in the midst of you know what. We're also just about to undergo a storm of some type. Hopefully, it doesn't ruin it for us. This is our very first debut of our new show. I'm going to hold off till the show begins to tell you that. But I think you'll find it enjoyable. It is from our co host, will be local. That's good. And a very interesting subject. So we're excited about it. It'll start in 4 minutes. Okay. Now, I just want a reminder this is being simulcasted, the broadcast on Facebook Live under three accounts under my name, Bob Bockelman, under the New Deal, my dinner club, and under New Orleans TV Internet work, which you're looking at right here. So you can watch the show live on any of those platforms from Facebook. The only problem we were just discussing is that only stays for one day, 24 hours. So you might not be able to see it on Facebook again if you don't see it within that time period. However, we also are broadcasting on YouTube under my station channel R space REVUE. And that, once we finish the broadcast, is on permanently. So you can watch it. You're late night and stay open and you can't go to sleep. You can watch it anytime you want. So we're hoping you'll take note of this particular program, and we've got another new program and several others for next week coming on. But this one, because it is a debut, and I'm hoping that it's of interest to you when we come on. Also, if you're on any of those platforms, you can chat or comment, and if you do, they will be shown on our screens, and we can either hopefully entertain them, and if no, I doubt it will have that many, so I'm sure we can entertain if it's a question, etc. Some of them will actually put on the screen what the question is or what the statement is. So remember, you can do that. In the long run, we're going to add phone calls again, but we're not doing that today. No telephoning. The chat comments on any of the platforms or Q&A really needs to be submitted in advance. If you know you have a question for when we do our next show, then you can send it in advance to Facebook, to me on the Bob Bockelman Facebook, or to my email at bob at rrevue.net. Bob at rrevue.net. No space there. Okay. All right. We've got a couple more minutes. Again, you're watching the New Orleans TV Internet System. We will be doing live broadcasting of our debut show coming up in 2 minutes, and you'll see the logo of that, and we'll announce it, and then give you a little bit intro and meet our distinguished guest. Okay, well, I'm going to shut this big fat mouth up for a little bit, and see you in a little bit. You're watching the New Orleans TV Internet Network System. Live programming will start in 1 minute. Welcome to Roots Review. That's ROOTS. And you see our trademark ant. He or she is holding a nice assortment of flowers on the top and vegetables a little below that. So hopefully you can see those. And so Roots Review, hopefully from that logo, will tell you this is a gardening show. And we have all kinds of plans for it. Today is our debut and we will momentarily, let's bring me up so that way you'll see my ugly face. There we are. Same got our logo behind there. You can see the look at that beautiful rose and the carrots. Ooh, a little too early to be eating the roses or the carrots. But anyway, it's Roots Review, our debut program. Hopefully, you're going to watch it. As you know, all of our shows are 1 hour in length. They're all live, broadcast as you heard earlier, on 5 platforms now: Periscope, YouTube, and 3 on Facebook. Eventually, we're waiting for LinkedIn to give us approval, and we're already posting a link after the show as well as Twitter after the show. Instagram doesn't want anybody but their own people using it, so we don't know when it's coming on. But beyond that, we want to go ahead now and introduce to you, bring on live our guest. Let's see. There she is. Good morning, and folks. We're looking at the lovely Z Daluz. Doesn't that sound like Claire de Lune, like a beautiful rolls off your tongue, like a song or something? Z, tell us. Welcome to the show. We got you up this morning, and hopefully it's not storming yet by you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in gardening, and specifically what you're doing with gardening now besides your own personal project.
Well, good morning, everybody. And Bob, don't want to correct you too much, but my name is Zay. Let's just
Zay.
go with that. And yeah, it's a lovely stormy day right here in the Bywater. And but yeah, I'm a long-term gardener, mostly vegetables, but I do, I have, well, I started out with house plants because I grew up in the north and that's what we do. And so I still do those
And what is that?
ornamentals.
Is that a flower or a vegetable? I've never heard of that plant. Cow's plant?
Oh, house plants.
Oh, house plant.
House plants. I better speak up.
That's how bad my hearing is. Sorry, I said. Well, I thought the cows just ate grass. What did they get their own?
Yeah. Well, they do have a cow slip, which is a
Oh,
type of a flower.
okay. Well, let's not get into this since we're not showing them that. But
Anyway,
anyway,
I graduated into vegetable gardening as soon as I was able to have a piece of land to do that, and I've always been interested in growing food. And I grow some flowers, as I say, but I primarily grow things to eat because I like to eat fresh
well, not only
food.
that, it's so important. You're ahead of the game in our current scenario, because so many people
Yeah,
are trying to develop that now as a way of life because we don't know how long or what's going to happen. And it's such a, it's such a. In the old days, I think everyone had a backyard or side yard vegetable garden. So it's just cyclical, returning to that process. Go ahead.
yeah, it definitely has been a tremendous re-interest in this because people are concerned about food security. But I think people will find if they do it for that, that actually they're going to enjoy it. It's very enjoyable to watch things grow. And vegetables give you the most for your money, really, because they grow so quickly.
Exactly.
So,
Now, when did you get? Are you from here or you can't transplanted here? You said from the north. That's right. So when did you come to New Orleans?
well, I came here in 1980, so I have been here quite a while.
Oh yeah, great, great. Well, we appreciate you coming and staying. And did you have to leave during Katrina and come back, or you were able to stay weather the storm, so to say?
No, well, no, I don't know if we had to leave. We could have stayed. It didn't flood at my house, but I left. Yeah.
I think most,
When I saw that thing in the Gulf, I was not gonna stay here.
especially
Yeah.
when we heard one of the levees broke. I mean that's got to be one of the most critical messages that burns in everyone's ear if they heard that. Because here's something we've trusted for I don't know how many years they've been there, but all my lifetime and never thought twice about it that this was a natural defense. how can the water get over there? How can the water break loose even worse? So anyway, we don't want to dwell on the negative. We got our own negatives now, and that's the purpose of this third show, to bring up the spirits. Tell us also, for the folks that don't know, you developed a gardening group, and tell
On
us a little bit
Facebook,
about that.
yeah, it's called New Orleans Gardeners. So it is a very open-ended group. As I say, my interest was mostly vegetable gardening, but there are a lot of people now, and as I say, there's been so much interest lately that our group grew from like 200 to like 600 in about three
Wow,
weeks. Yeah. And
congratulations.
there's a lot of people who just really enjoy the flower thing, and that's fine. But we try to provide a forum for people to ask questions, to find out more about different aspects like pests, diseases, where to plant things, what's the name of this plant. But it is very specific to the New Orleans area.
Right.
We have people probably from as far away as even Shreveport, but it's a very different climate up there.
Oh,
So we
yeah.
try to concentrate on, how things do here.
Sure. Okay, well, that's a
Yeah.
great, and I'm sure in most of the big cities, and not even the big with Facebook and the popularity of the internet, I'm sure there's hundreds, if not thousands, of local garden things that are taking advantage of the internet to get their word out and to get camaraderie on this. Because I know you, as I tell you at the beginning, I could never do this show alone. I am the worst nemesis to plants. I've tried and tried. We're trying one more time. Maybe this program will be the magic. Let me throw something.
Well,
Anyway,
maybe I hope you will learn things. Yes.
yeah, that's the key. I think it's because I really never have taken the. I just want to see instant results. And that's why I always buy the plants already with bloom, so I can enjoy them for a few moments till I kill them. But so yeah, I've never taken the chance of doing the proper research, and even so, this is a great avenue where you don't have to go Google it or go read a book, or you can get ask a question of your friends and your neighbors or your members in the group, and most of the part, someone has an answer, if not everyone, really. So
Well, really, there are always a lot of different answers, and that's interesting because there may be
yeah,
things that you tried and it didn't work for you, but maybe someone else has a better idea or a
exactly.
different idea, and it's not. Yes, it's a science, but it's not an exact science. So some things work better for other people than you talk about killing plants. Well, everyone has probably killed a plant in their
Oh,
time.
you're just humoring me. That's all. Misery loves company, I guess. Not to the not to the quantity that I've killed. I'm, I'm a serial executioner.
Aw, it's
Now, what was
it's
it?
it's
Go
just
ahead.
something that happens. Sometimes the plants may not be healthy when you get them, so
Maybe that.
maybe it's not your fault.
To me, if it's got a pretty, it's got a pretty flower, it's beautiful to me. It should be healthy and be able to self-sustain itself. That's what I don't understand. I never until this last batch, which still died, used fertilizer. Okay,
Right.
that was for strictly vegetables, or farmers, not for flowers. So that's how ignorant I was. Now, at least in this replanting, I'm doing it on all plants. I did it on some last year, but most of those died. Anyway,
One
what I have to do now is hopefully we won't lose you because we want to actually start taking a look at some of your pictures. Um,
Just
they have,
one thing before you start, I wanted to say that I am an organic gardener. And we didn't really talk about that, but it's pretty important is to be organic as far as not to use damaging pesticides and chemicals and things that can really harm the environment. So just letting that in there.
do you and your group merchandise like buttons or T-shirts stuff like that? Might be a
No.
might be a sideline. Zay, right? Am I saying it
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Zay is also very talented. She did the logo for her group, which was, if you saw the promo, you saw her lovely face, visage, and also the logo that she designed for her group. So she's talented in more than one thing, and that's great. But I think it's a natural to get people more interested because right now we're just focused on the tragedy. But before that, more and more we're getting more interested in where their food come from and how it had been treated, or mistreated.
Right.
And animals, not just food. Anyway, we want to keep talking. I'm going to, doesn't matter, I'm going to go ahead and bring up, hopefully, our first picture. So please excuse me for a second, okay?
Okay. Should I just ramble on?
Yeah. Uh, all right, now let's see.
Well, yeah, I'll just do an intro. What I did was take a lot of pictures of my garden so that we could just explore what I'm doing right now. And this is probably about my fifth garden. And really, I haven't had that many because I haven't lived in that many places.
Ah,
So,
okay.
okay, yeah. So
Now,
this
as I
is,
mentioned, unfortunately, Zay was kind enough to send us advanced pics. That way she wouldn't do this live, especially with all the commotion going on. So we've got some great looking. Now, as I mentioned, on the computer has its own mind. No one likes to say that. And it deliberately will take the pictures that she sent in her and rearrange them based on their size or something, no criteria that I can figure out. So please, as I mentioned, please don't be too upset that it's not in the same order. And most of them are. It's the first three seem to be all more greenery stuff. But let's start with the first one, and hopefully you can see so you can tell us exactly what we're looking at. Where is
sure.
it? Can you tell us about where it's in relation to your yard or your home?
So my yard is a very small but typical backyard of a little double house, built in the 1880s. And when I got the yard, it really was full of weed trees, those rain trees.
Yeah,
So what we're looking at in the front there is actually a big old stump of a tree, an old rain tree that we cut down all these trees, but I left that stump because it's kind of cool.
it is. In fact, me with my bad eyes, many times I see things that aren't there, and it certainly just works terribly sometimes with the artists that we bring on because they don't, some of it take it with a grain of salt. But right now, I'm seeing with my bad eyes on that trunk almost a visage, like a gnome or something on the right.
Yeah,
I'm looking up, so like eyes and a little nose. I think it's quaint and very attractive naturally. So
it is a nice stump, and I left that stump, and then you can see in the background there's another stump. That was a huge mulberry tree. I hated to have to cut it
oh,
down, but it shaded the entire garden, and I couldn't grow anything.
yeah, that's what I say. You
So
get that much shade. I know one thing. You got to have some sunlight for most plants, anyway.
yeah, and so what you're looking at, you can see my rose, my one of my four rose bushes, which was in bloom when I took this picture. It's the one in the front, the little kind of the bright green. That's actually another rose bush, and that's budded out right now. It's about to flower. So
Oh, nice.
eventually, so these pictures are about 3 weeks old, and in a garden, everything changes every day.
Right.
So now we're seeing from the other reverse angle. So what my garden does is it makes like a 90-degree. There's a path that
Yeah,
runs along and makes a 90-degree turn.
I love
And
that.
so this is the other side of where we were just looking. And in the right foreground is my salvia patch. I have four
Oh,
different types of salvia.
I don't know. I know a little bit about those. Don't they make lovely blooms or no? They're like colored, no? Or are they just green?
No, it's just a long shot, but yes, I think I sent you a close up. The one in the front is a blue salvia, and then there's a red, and there's a burgundy. Yeah,
Yeah,
they make really pretty flowers, but there's a lot of foliage too, so the flowers are kind of small.
I got it. But
Um,
yeah, I know we're coming up on it later in the show. But I
yeah,
was wondering if that was the same. So that is the same plant that with its bloom later on. Okay,
correct. Yeah.
let's
On
move
the left-hand side is the fig tree. So,
on.
oh, now we,
Right. I see it right there in the center
yeah,
of the,
that's fine.
but to the left of the path, huh?
I'm sorry.
I said it was a little bit to the left side of the path.
Yeah. Now we
Okay.
jump back to the same view that we were looking at before, but a little, yeah, that's my cat Footsie. And so directly in front of us are my citrus trees. I've got a
Oh,
blood orange and a satsuma.
oh, how nice.
And you can't see it, but farther to the right out of the shot, I do have also a pink grapefruit.
Now, now all of these are obviously in the ground, and like, how successful have you been in actually producing edible fruit?
Well, this whole garden is maybe not even 5 years old. So
Oh,
a
okay.
lot of these, last year was my first good Satsuma crop. And this year I have a lot of blood oranges, babies that I can see. And I have a few more grapefruit. So they're coming along. They haven't really reached peak production. They do take a while, and it depends. My neighbors had a big tree on the other side of that fence, and it was shading everything, but they cut
Oh,
that down a couple
good,
years ago.
good, good, good.
So
Now,
that was helpful, yeah.
when you got the trees, about how tall were they? Were they just, just
They
sprouts?
were they were maybe 4 feet tall.
Okay.
So, it takes them a while. Trees can be expensive. If you buy the smaller ones, they're cheaper, but they take a long time to mature and give you a crop. So,
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. Minnie's name. Oh, that's her name. How do you call it?
What?
Yeah, your laugh. I thought you were telling me her name is your laugh. And I said, so you call her here?
Oh, my cat?
Yeah,
Footsie is his name.
is it
Footsie.
footsie? Is it
Yeah.
is it because she likes to be he or she likes to be by your feet?
He really likes to smell people's shoes.
Okay, we'll accept that. All right, now here we go. Here's something pretty. I mean, not that that other one wasn't, but here's something with a first flower other than the rose. What are we looking at here, dear?
This is a pineapple guava.
I
Now,
know.
when you were looking at that last slide, underneath where the citrus are, that's where these guavas are. You
So let's
can't
see.
really see them because they're shaded.
All right, I went back to that picture. So you're talking about somewhere where the mini
To the
foot,
right of the cat, yeah,
foot,
right under there, there's a whole kind of a bush of these pineapple guavas.
and they grow.
And
Looks like a lot of shade. They grow with that.
yes, they do grow in the shade, but they also come up through the leaves of the citrus trees. So they're all, I like a jungle effect. Okay,
I
so
never
I'm
would have.
into that.
I never would have guessed. I never would have guessed. Now, this isn't really the. This doesn't bear any fruit. This isn't like some kind of hybrid pineapple guava fruit fusion or anything, huh?
It's a funny thing because when I bought it, I have eaten something called a pineapple guava and it was delicious and I thought that's what this would do. But then I
Okay.
found out it is an ornamental. So
Yeah, it sounds like it would be a tasty combo. If I would say, boy, this lady, she's got like Bechdels and Bell taste. She's got every fruit you can think of. Because I don't know anyone who's ever heard of has that combination of a pineapple and a guava together. But it
well,
sounds
Bob, the thing is that when I started this garden, I also had a community garden. And in the community garden, I was growing all my vegetables.
uh,
So when I planned for this garden, I planned it to be a fruit garden. Yes.
okay. So that's why I got it now. So yeah, so that makes sense. So why overlap if you had another garden just for the okay.
Right.
Next, what
Yeah.
do we got here? Look at these pretty ones.
So these are some of my salvias. I unfortunately I've forgotten the technical name for these little guys, and maybe one of our viewers will be able to help me out.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah. Don't hesitate to, if you have any comments, as we said in the beginning, or answering our questions, don't hesitate to type in a chat or a comment on your platform, and we'll see it, and then go ahead and bring it up and hopefully answer the question. I think we
yeah,
have a
this
comment that,
this plant is at the base of. So, like I say, I have four different salvias. This is the smallest and the most delicate.
oh,
And
okay.
it has beautiful fuchsia colored flowers and it's just a really pretty plant. All the salvias are good butterfly and bee plants, by the way.
That's good.
So yes, very good for they're good for they're pollinator plants is what they
Now,
call them.
do
Yeah.
they tolerate both sun and shade, or what's their normal?
They have they will do well almost anywhere. They don't like it real wet.
Okay.
They prefer a more dry spot,
Sure.
but they don't need hot sun, but they can tolerate the hot sun.
I got it. When I first saw it with my bad eyes, even though I saw the color was not red, I thought it was a strawberry plant because it looked like, yeah, but it's much prettier than that, especially when you see up close the color of those blooms are just beautiful. They get more fuchsia, purple. I don't know what those colors are, but they're very, very pretty. Okay,
Yeah.
now here we go. Back to the roses.
I
Can't beat.
love roses. I love roses. And in New Orleans, I have tried many years to grow them in pots unsuccessfully. Okay.
You unsuccessful?
In pots. They don't really like to grow in a pot.
Really?
So, yeah. So, this is the first opportunity I've had in a long while to get roses in the ground. And they're doing great.
Now let me ask one. The only thing I hate about a rose is getting stuck by the thorn. Does every rose plant have thorns?
No, no, they don't, but I don't mind. If you're careful, you won't get stuck.
Well, when you got bad eyes like me, you can't be careful because you can't see it. But
Well,
I,
this rose was bought just earlier this year, probably in January or February. I bought it at Walmart, and it was
wow,
$6 rose,
it's beautiful. The
and
color.
it's beautiful. Yes, it's really
And about
beautiful.
how tall was it when you bought it? And about how tall is it now?
Okay, so I bought, I think they call them bare root roses. They just come wrapped up in plastic and they just like a stick with thorns on it, and it has a root. And then you put it in the ground and you wait for it to do its magic.
I've seen some of them in the marketplace on Facebook where they'll say that. And I said, well, what the heck does that mean? You're just looking at a stem of the plant with the roots, and those are like this. Is that right?
Well, yeah, most roses go dormant in winter, and except for down here because our climate is so mild, they might not. But if they get any cold weather, they will just go dormant and lose all their leaves, and then they're just kind of a stick. Yeah. So that's the best time to ship them. And well, I want to say when I bought it, it did have green sprouts coming out of the stick. Because if it didn't, then I wouldn't have bought it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but it didn't have anything really. It was
No buds, anything like that. It was strictly just thorns and greenery, right?
right. So this is what they call a standard rose. There's
Mhm.
all different types of roses. I'm not an expert on roses. We could have a whole show on
Oh,
roses
but
if we
you
had a
might,
show, if a rose expert, but
you might. Because I mean, like you say, there's so many varieties. Now I just look at color; I can't tell the difference. Now
well,
this,
I like
like,
the color, but I also look at I want a fragrant rose.
I got it.
For me, it's about the smell. So
Now this, oh yeah, and that's just well, we're going into a whole new subject. In the old days, that was the lead for roses, not only the color but the aroma. Nowadays, when you buy from and expensively from many florists, the damn rose doesn't have a scent at all. And I said, well, how did they kill all these scents by making all these creative colors or something? It's very rare that I've really smelt a rose now in the last 10, I would say 10 years that had fragrance. Is there something about that that you know or no?
okay, well, if you buy cut roses, yes, you're buying a rose that has been bred for shipping and sturdiness and all these other factors and not for scent. But people who really love roses grow them still for scent.
I got
And most of the varieties that smell good are old-fashioned roses, so they are more susceptible to diseases and things like that. So if you're like a landscaper, you put in these big, colorful roses that look good but don't smell. I'm not going to do that in my garden because
I
I
don't
want to smell
blame
the
you.
roses.
I don't blame you. Yes, wake up and smell the rose. No, but I mean, it's true. I'm glad it wasn't me, but I just couldn't understand it. I knew before every rose I smelled had great fragrances, and now today it's just the opposite. All right, now I think I can guess. Stupid me. I think this is a fig tree. Watch me be wrong. Is that
Yeah,
wrong?
this is the same fig tree, and we're in the same pathway, but we're looking back towards my house.
I got it.
So
Oh,
it shows how big this tree is. This tree is
yeah.
ridiculously gigantic, and it was cut down last year. Pretty much, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to cut it back every year.
And this is why I don't like. I don't. Well, first of all, I don't like the produce. But
Oh,
more importantly, is that I see them and they grow to be. They're just so sprawling. They take over everything. Yours is beautiful. It's verdant. You know the leaves are closer together. What I've seen are so spread out. It's lots of branches or stems with leaves on the end, and just takes over. I see the whole backyard.
well, yeah, they do that, but then, this one was cut down pretty much to the main stems last year. So yeah, it's still come out really large, but I'll just cut it back again next year. And I don't know if you
Not worth it
remember,
to go variety. You know.
well, in that first shot, there was a bucket of sticks, and that was sticks from the fig tree, which,
Yeah,
I'm not
true.
sure what I'm going to do with them, but that's what that was because it does make a lot of mess. Um,
Okay, well, good. That's what I don't like about it.
I
That and
like
magnolia.
figs. I mean, I love figs.
You
So,
don't want to know what I call them, but anyway, I'm glad you. Now is that I can't see it. Is that is that actually your home in the back, or is that some type of
that's
garden
the
shed? No disrespect.
no, that well, it is my house, but it's the garage. So,
Oh,
yeah.
but it looks so natural. I mean, it looks like you've grown more like a forest, but a forest. Let me use the forest. That's just an old building that was part of the landscape, and it just looks really great. I don't think you could have planned it better. Really, it's great. So your landscaping design here is top notch, top notch.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Oh, now we get into things I like. Look at this beauty. Oh my! Is that a banana plant? I mean, not a banana tree. I pretty know. A banana flower.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was laughing at you. It's an iris. It's a what they
Oh,
call a walking iris. I think some
yeah.
people call these African iris.
Yes, and that's what I've heard conflicting. And I was going to ask you. I didn't know this was an iris, but the difference between what is a walk. I've heard walking African and bearded iris. I think I've seen a beard. A bearded has a lot of maybe like a beard. It has some scrag.
Yeah, the
Anyway,
bearded iris are a lot bigger flower and they're
uh,
much more showy, and it's a
yeah,
different,
yeah. Those,
um, these are small and they grow, they almost resemble an orchid to me because
oh,
there'll be two or three little blooms in a row, like on a stem. And
um,
but I have this is a close up of just one flower, but I have a group of these, and all together there'll be lots of little yellow flowers. It's quite pretty.
and now we said this is a walking iris or no?
I I called them walking irises, but then I saw other people were calling them African irises.
Now, what is the Louisiana iris? And that's the other thing.
Okay.
Because I'm giving you a Louisiana iris. I said, oh my goodness.
Yeah, I don't have any in my yard. I did just get given some Louisiana iris after this, and they're just the bulbs, so there are no flowers on them. That's the
Yeah,
group.
that's why I wanted to say.
So
So this is looking down at the group of, so that way you can have a better idea of the size of the flowers. Because again, in the close up, it looks like a large bloom. But here, and then not that it's teeny, but I mean it's proportionate and it really looks nice.
they really do look nice, and they all bloom together. And I've got them in a fairly shady area.
Good.
They get light, but it's dappled. It's underneath. To the right is actually my blood orange tree, and to the left is a plant that I got just this year. It's an interesting type of ginger, not edible ginger, but flowering ginger
Uh,
that my friend gave to me. He did not know the name of it, and so of course I don't either. But maybe when the flowers come out, I'll be able to identify it.
yeah.
Um,
I have
that
ginger running across the back. When I bought the property years ago in the 90s, it was a page fence, and half of it, I don't know why half, but half was covered with ginger, which was only about 4 feet tall, almost a little shorter than now. I put a concrete block wall to make it a courtyard instead of a typical fence thing. And the ginger behind it, that halfway is like at least 12 feet tall, full, 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 and actually make
yeah,
flowers. I don't mind it. I just, I'm not
that's
going to.
does that make a flower? Is that the shell ginger? What
the what? I'm sorry. The what?
shell ginger?
I don't know what shell. You
Okay, well,
are
I had some shell ginger and it got to be about 12 feet tall and it was multiplying and taking over like a
that's what
third
I
of
have.
my garden and
That's
I just had to get rid of it.
yeah, like
It just
banana trees that have variegated, so the leaves
yeah.
themselves are very pretty. But right, it was overpowering. So that's why now it's wedged between the 6 foot concrete block wall and the 4 foot or whatever the page fence is. But it still proliferates. I can't get
Yes.
I just can't get behind it even cut it down anymore. But anyway, this is like now. Here we go. Now these are iris too, and these are blue or purple. What is this?
Now this is the close up of the blue salvia.
Oh, come on. That's not iris.
I
Oh,
don't have any iris. Those are the only iris I have right now.
it
The
almost looks
yellow.
like iris flower though. It's so the small ones don't have the same kind of shape. There's the one little raspberry color with or purple, whatever.
They did. I just didn't give you a close up of it. So, I'm a photographer, so I can provide more photos of close ups next time if you want.
Well, I like it.
Flowers are fascinating. I mean, they do look quite different in the close up than they do when you're looking in the long shot.
You need
So,
to see one of each all the time, which is, and I guess, annoying to most people. But for me, I like the close up because then I can really detail the flower and the colors. Whereas that other picture was pretty, but to me, it looks like it's more greens with the small yellow.
right,
But
right.
it is. So this would be so. This is salvia again. Now, how many colors did you have in your yard of salvia? We've seen the
I've
red,
got
purple, or
got a
blue.
bright red. I've got this blue. I've got the little fuchsia colors,
Right.
and then I've got another different blue that I don't know if I gave you a picture of it. I think I did. It's blue and white, but
And here we go back to the tropical garden. See, I love it. So your yard looks so spacious in these because of the and you did say it's small, and I think I can trace the length of it from the backyard fence. I assume this is the backyard, and because it doesn't look that long there, but the overall view is just so great because of not just being able to delineate angles and spaces that it really looks great. Anything
yeah,
about this particular
I
green that we need?
I can tell you that it's 30 feet wide. Well, not quite. It's probably about 25 feet wide, and it's
Okay.
probably only about um, gosh, maybe 20 feet
Deep.
deep. But with the path and everything, I don't even have even that much space to actually
Right.
plant.
Right. Now, what do we
Um,
have? Anything different in here? I see some. Is that some more roses? That
that's another rose that that might be the same rose. There's another rose in the foreground that hasn't bloomed yet. And
oh, one by, okay. This
right
post
to the left of the rose is that last salvia, which is a
salvia, right?
different type of
I
blue.
recognize
Yeah,
that. It's got a
yeah.
little something in between them, but this one looks white and pink or blush color. This rose, and you say it's the same as the yellow
It's
and
the
orange.
same. Yeah, it's the same rose, but it's probably 4 or 5 days later, so it was fading.
Oh, okay.
And some people pick their roses. Okay, I generally don't do that. I don't have that many, so I like to just let them do their natural life cycle.
And is it, I know that I'm generalizing, but is it true that if you cut your flowers, that they come back more, even more in number, and also supposedly pretty? Is that just an old wives' tale?
They will come back, and I did cut this after this photo. But
Oh.
yes, you do need to cut them because otherwise you won't get any more.
Is it generally recommended all flowers that get old should be cut off the vine? 'Cause that's what I think a lot. Like I have a lot of hydrangeas, and they just get eventually all brown and just hang and droop. Should I be
What
cutting
are
off
what are they?
hydrangeas? I know we don't have any
Oh
here.
yes, hydrangeas. Yeah, I would. Well, yeah, I would cut them. I would. A lot of people cut them when they're still beautiful and
Oh,
then
yeah,
dry them.
yeah, no, I know if they're going to bring them in, transplant. I mean, show them in the house. Same thing with rose. But I'm saying generally, if you leave your flowers on the stem, on the vine or the bush, is it good to cut them down and cut the flower off at some point and just throw it away, or throw it in the garden and fertilize? I don't know what it does.
Yeah, throw it in your compost. Yeah, definitely. Yes, you want to cut off dead blooms unless you're trying to get seeds,
Now,
which you know.
this next one, I might know. I'm going to guess wrong again. Someone gave me when I bought this house. Originally, I did the house in shades of lavender. I have a shotgun double converted to a single built in 1898, and I just always have liked purple, different shades. And so they gave this plan. It just is to say, and they said it's called today, to yesterday, today, and tomorrow because it becomes three colors. It's
Yes,
when it's white, it's the when it's gone, I guess. Lavender like this is today or present. I don't know. So is that right? Am I right that that is the name of the plan?
that's the only name I know. I'm sure it has a Latin name, but that's the name
Yeah.
I know it by.
I mean, yeah. So and it does do that, right? It goes through three color variations depending on whether it's I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know if it's
I got this plant as a cutting from my neighbor because I thought it was such an interesting plant. I don't know any other plant that does this, and it's done really well. It's underneath the fig tree, so it gets some light, but it doesn't need strong sunlight.
now mine. This is what I'm really pleased with because I like to containerize because I don't have a lot of space, so I'm trying to use containers. I'm using garbage cans and stuff, but anyway, we'll talk about that. But this one, since day one, has been in a medium to large size container and has done wonderful. It comes back, it loses its green, during the winter, and the flowers, of course, grow. But then it always comes back with a little bit more height or width, and always a beautiful flower. So it's got to be pretty sturdy, especially to grow in a container as opposed to in the ground. I was very pleased, very pleased.
Yeah, I think they're pretty easy to grow. I never had any trouble with it. It doesn't look like it ever gets any diseases or anything. And
No, I don't do anything except for water. And
yeah,
mine gets kind of moderate because the front of the house has huge 40-year-old, 50-year-old crepe myrtles, and sometime in the afternoon when the sun is going, then the shade will hit it. But otherwise, it's got pretty much sun. But it's great. I just love it. So I'm so glad I've got what I think I'm 2 for 20. I'm really doing well. Now here's something. I can't say that this is the most attractive one to your plants, but I understand, and I'm sure looking down, tell us about all these potted goodies.
well, the reason I put this in was to show people that I have a huge covered deck that
Okay.
overlooks the garden.
All right.
So it's part of my garden because it's outside. So this is just a section of the wall that looks. If you were in the garden, you would be looking up at this. And so I have a variety. I have some marigolds. I have some. Um, Gee, I can't think of the name of it, and a lot of plants that may eventually transition into the garden, but for right now, they're on the deck.
Okay. Well, that's great.
So,
'Cause,
yeah,
you can
it's just to show you the extent that I have a little bit more than just that garden. I do have, I'd say I have about 80 plants up on this deck at least.
wow. But
Yeah,
not only that, it shows that they do grow and they do have flowers and all when they're still in the pot. They don't have to be immediately transferred to the ground. And
right.
that's what I like about it because I'd like to have more containerized stuff that will still bloom and not have to be transplanted to
Well,
a.
this wall gets the really good sunlight, and so I put any plants that need to be flowering get on this wall, and I even have a couple of pepper plants and a couple of tomato plants and things that need the sun. They can go on that wall.
But you said
Um,
south. Um, I don't know how to tell an orange. What I'm saying, I know east and west, where the sun comes up in front of my house and goes down in the back of my house. That's how my house faces. So the south.
well, that's the same way my house.
Oh, okay. Okay. When you
It
say
basically this
right,
is the reason this gets the sun is this is when the sun is coming over
your
from
home.
the back of my house to the front of my house. This
Okay.
is how it passes. Okay,
Oh,
so that's mostly all day sun.
good. Very good. Okay,
Yeah,
back to the pretty roses.
I know. Well, Bob, right around now is I didn't have a whole lot of things to show in the garden.
I love
So
them. But now you see, you have. It's not just you have one rose. You have at least two. So that's great. And
yeah.
that's Now I can't tell. I can see the leaves. Now I'm trying to distinguish because I've realized the leaves of the rose itself leaves versus the surrounding stuff. And again, that would be other plants, I guess. Anyway,
Right. Yeah, the roses are, those big leaves are the rose leaves, and then, in back of that is where all of the salvia is.
right.
Uh,
Oh, so yeah, all the salvage behind it.
I mean, I'm still working on a lot of this garden. As I said, yes, I did start it 5 years ago, but when I started it, all I had were those citrus trees. Okay, so the roses, I told you, they just got put in this year. The salvia got put in, I think, just last fall. So a lot of it is really very new, and it hasn't completely filled out, and I'm still putting things in. Um, because I did have this other place that I was spending a lot more time in, and now this is it. So
Right. Okay, so
it'll get better. Maybe later in this season we can do a different show, and you can see
oh,
how
yeah,
it's
I think
coming
we're
along.
doing great. I was just looking to see how many we've got about 5 or 6 more plays. I was checking time because it's getting not near
Oh,
the
okay.
we got
Yeah,
another 15 minutes. But let's all right, what do we have here? Now, obviously this is a backyard fence or a side fence, wooden fence. So what do
that's
we
my neighbor's house actually. So the garden goes directly up to, and their house just happens to be cinder block. It was
oh
originally it was a garage. Um,
and what kind of greenery? It looks like 2 or 3 plants here. What are we looking at?
yeah, in the foreground is a pawpaw tree.
Pawpaw.
Yes.
I've never heard of that. Go ahead.
And behind that is a pomegranate tree.
Oh, another fruit. Now does that bear fruit or you don't know? It's too early.
It hasn't done it yet, but I'm hoping that it will one day.
Right.
Um,
Well what
last
does
year I had a Mirliton crisis. Okay,
oh,
last year I put Mirlitons and they completely took over and they almost killed that poor little pomegranate tree. And so this year I said, no, we can't do the Mirlitons. The garden is just not big enough. And the
God.
tree is doing great, but it
Now,
doesn't have any fruit.
now this pawpaw tree, this really interests me. Does it bloom or anything, or is it just green? And does it get tall, or
You
what?
know,
How,
I should have tried to do a close up of the flowers. It has the most interesting flowers, and you can just barely see them in this picture. They're the little red things. Uh,
what's,
so yes, and again, this tree I put in maybe 3 weeks ago. It was in a
oh,
pot on my deck.
oh, okay.
So
Just from
it's
the
yeah, it's
wow.
doing really well. It just really came alive once I put it in the ground.
Interesting. Pawpaw tree. I gotta remember that.
Well,
Yeah.
the problem is that I've heard that you have to have two pawpaw trees to actually get a crop.
Sort of like the fruit trees. That's what happened to me with the lemon mile.
Yeah,
Anyway, we don't want to
yeah,
get into that right now. All right, now this to me looks like a very comfortable urban garden here. You know, with a typical new
oh,
house and has the little brick bordered fence with some nice little green. What do we have in the little bed here?
this is the last section that it's on the other side of the path from where the roses are, and this is where I did have the shell ginger that I had to get rid of because it was too big.
Right.
So what I have from left to right is I have a hydrangea.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, it's small. I just got it from a friend. So this is all a new planting. Nothing has been in here more than a month.
Do you have any idea of what color it'll be?
No, I don't. But I don't care because I love hydrangeas.
I love it too, but my whole backyard is all supposed to be. You ready for this? White only plant. And I had to go to the North Shore of this lovely gentleman who's got a big property, grows a lot of stuff, and he gave me 3 white hydrangeas. Okay, I mean I gave you,
Yeah.
but 2 of them have come back. My depth of my thing is much smaller than yours. It's a concrete block wall like that with a 2 block wall front, but I don't think yours looks a little deeper than mine. Might only be like a foot deep. And they've cut back since last year, but the flowers are much smaller. And one of the flowers, which is in more in the shady area, has come back white and pink, which is not a vexable, and had one solid pink. But I don't understand how you determine this. Somebody said you got to put iron in it, or you got to put a rusty nail, and they said, but it's going to turn blue. I said, I don't want you for the color. I just want white.
Right. If you're getting a color, then you're not going to be able to make it white. But yeah, you can change the pink and blue colors depending on the soil. But it's not a white plant. I like the pink and blue ones myself. But
In another setting, it's just my
yeah.
whole group here is
Well,
all
Bob,
white.
you can give me that one if you don't want it. I'll find a place for it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's how you know. I'll be happy to. If I can find a white one that'll stay white, I'll dig that one up and give you that one. All right, what else we got here? What's in
I
the middle? What's that
said
large?
hydrangea is a beauty berry.
Oh,
You know that plant?
no, no, I'm not because these are names I've never even heard of. Pawpaw
Okay.
beauty.
And then in back of that, I did put some new gingers in there. They're supposed to be smaller than the ones I took out.
Okay.
The one that's really flowering is also a ginger. And in back of that is a mimosa tree, which I'm hoping to be able to prune
Drink.
to make it small because they tend to be really big. But we'll see.
And what's these large leaf things on the right front corner? What are
That
those?
is a canna lily, and since I sent you the
Oh,
pictures, it's bloomed and it's beautiful. I did put
yeah.
a picture. I put a photo of it on the New Orleans Gardeners Facebook
I just
page.
learned about this. I always love again because it's white calla lilies, which I'm having difficult growing. I have one that's grown in a container for 5 years now, and every year it gets bigger and bigger, and it produces one calla lily.
I love calla lilies, but they take shade, I believe, right?
No, I
So,
don't know. See, that's my problem. But anyway, this one continues to come back, but will not give me more than one flower. Now,
now all of the other little things there are different lilies that I just put in, and they'll be back. Hopefully by the end of the year they'll be blooming.
yeah, now I saw some, and maybe I saw your post as well, but I've seen these other things, and I thought it was just a misspelling of canna lily versus calla lily. But
Oh no,
then
they're completely different. Yeah,
I know, and the pot, because most of those come in beautiful colors, like you say, which to me the calla lily is predominantly white with the gold throat. But I
well,
also heard that they had
callas
new.
come in different colors too.
And one of the posts today, people complain because canna lilies are poisonous to cats. Plus, we have a lot of people who.
Oh well, well, my cat's pretty smart, and he
I was
doesn't eat
thinking
plants.
when you would know that. I said, "Well, you're going to be able to refute that because you've got footsie." And anyway, but that's what they say.
Uh,
You might want to check out that. That was just a recent post, and they got a big discussion about that, about cats. I guess eating the flower or something and dying. So you don't want that to happen. But it does make.
I've heard that before, but I think that most cats are smarter than that. But I also have some what they call kind of wild canna lilies, and those are the tall ones. You see them all over New Orleans. They're very tall, and they have smaller red flowers, and they make us a big stem full of weird seeds. And I think that's what's dangerous to the cats.
Oh, okay. Sorry, but thank you for clarifying. Now, what is this? A lime tree? I love it.
Now, this is my blood orange tree.
Oh, okay. So they look like limes up there. They're beautiful.
Well, they're small. I mean, it's not the season to get
Well,
an orange.
does
Yeah.
the orange turn orange or pink? It's like a grapefruit. What color does it? Do they turn the fruit?
Yeah, yeah, but Bob, it's April. The blood orange won't be ready until November.
What? Oh my
Yeah,
lord!
that's when citrus season is. It's in the fall.
No
You
wonder.
live here, right?
I don't know. That's why I used to call Dan Gill all the time because I had this thing between these two lemon trees. I'm not going to work for you or the audience for it. Maybe one day we'll get into it. But I never knew that. I thought it just grew. Anyway, I didn't know fall or whatever that term is when the citrus or I never knew when I'd call him every week. Was it time to take him off the plant? I don't know how to judge when to take him off the tree. Anyway, but these are beautiful. It looks like a lime tree, and I loved it. It was all green, just beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Now
doing
here
well this year.
the
Okay,
salvia, the
this is
salvia.
the this is the salvia, which I didn't know, and so I thought maybe it was a hyssop. And I put it on the New Orleans Gardeners page, and I asked people, "What is this?" And they told me it's a salvia. So I
Beautiful.
learn things every day.
It's beautiful. See, I love it like that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful plant. Yeah.
And I like that's the same as when you had the two close-ups that I love so much. Is that the same or it's a different type?
This is the fourth one. I guess I didn't give you a close up of the red one, but this is the different blue from the one we saw earlier.
I'm sorry, that's just my eyes. But and I could understand those look like they were like separate blooms, whereas this looks like a nice little colony of blooms running up the stem.
Yeah, it's completely different. That's why I didn't think it was a salvia, but the experts on my page told me it is.
Okay, well we got one more,
All
and I think
right.
we're on the same line. Is that salvia too?
Yeah, that's the other one. That's the one that I had the close up of.
Oh,
So
okay.
you can see that it is they all pretty much follow the pattern of they stick a like a spire
Yeah.
what do you call they have a sticks of
Oh,
little
well,
flowers on a stem that
yeah,
come
yeah.
up from the growth,
Well, for some reason, that's why I thought the others were iris or something because they look separate. They look like two separate stems with two separate plants, flowers. Whereas this
Right. Well,
like a
it's
hat.
because of the way I took that photo, and
Of
uh,
a different
when they
photography.
come up like that, it's oh, we're back.
I'm sorry to cut you off like that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I
That's
just
okay.
wanted to. Well, I've
Uh,
enjoyed the journey through Zay's garden or jungle garden. I don't know.
Jungle Garden, yes,
I
yes.
like that jungle garden. I really do. We should have called it that. We should have called the show. Today we're seeing Zay's jungle garden. I love it.
I mean, part of it is that I'm trying to cram as much as I can into a
Right.
small space, but
And
also I really like that way. Maybe next time I may send you some photos of my deck garden, which is also a jungle.
wow. Huh. But also, I like the part where you said these were really separate gardens. You had another garden, the community garden, where you put one thing, and here was mainly going to be your citrus garden. And now you're blending the two, which I think is wonderful because I think you do need a little color. You know,
Yeah, well, and I have a little space that I didn't show here because all I have in there right now is a couple of cantaloupe plants. But I am trying to grow a little bit of, again, that's a fruit, so it's still kind of a fruit garden.
not a fan of cantaloupe. Anyway, okay.
What?
I don't like a lot of melons.
I don't either, but a freshly
Beautiful,
picked,
but I don't.
really ripe melon is
Oh, but yeah,
very good.
when it's cut, it's just beautiful. The colors are magnificent. It's so vibrant, like on a cantaloupe, but ooh, I need the flavors out
No,
there. Anyway,
I'm kind of like that, but if it's a really fresh, sweet melon, I can eat it. If it's not, I can't.
all right. Now we've got just about 2 or 3 minutes at the most. I understand you brought with us a couple of tips. We're only going to probably be able to address one for all you. You've given a lot, as you know. I've pestered you for a lot of tips on growing certain items that I have killed. Um, can you tell us about it? Do you have time to do about a 2 or 3 minute tip, and then we'll
Yeah.
tell everybody bye. Go ahead.
What I wanted to talk about was transplanting because I found on the New Orleans gardeners page that's one of the things that people really have questions about.
I got it.
Oh, this plant is in the wrong place. I need to move it. When should I do that? Okay, so we're already almost to May. It's pretty much don't move any big plants now. Plants should be moved in the cooler months, if at all possible. Okay, that's rule number one. Now, that's different. If you have some little babies like tomatoes and peppers, and then you're going to want to put those in the ground, that's okay. But if you do that type of transplanting, always do it towards the evening. Try to pick a cloudy day. Um, Water before, if unless it's already wet like today. And today, for example, that's a great time to transplant because
Yay!
yeah, right. So try to do everything you can to baby and shelter your transplants for the first few days, um, because it's a shock to the plant
Right.
system. And
Yeah, my again ignorance. I thought I told my people whenever you transplant, the first thing you do is water them, not before, but after
well,
you get them in the next. place.
Yeah, I water them after too, but it's actually better, yeah, you're going to get muddy, but it's really better to have the soil already wet and then they go into this wet soil. It's just better. You don't have to do it that way, but
Now, what about if you had a more substantial plant that you've had for a while, and you
right. Now, those
how do
plants,
you know?
I w-
My
I would
question.
not do any large transplanting now. It's
No, but I'm
kind of
talking
too
about in
late.
general. How do you avoid severing roots? I mean, how would one know whether roots go
Right.
horizontally far out as opposed to staying within the concentrics of the original planting?
Okay, so for a large plant, there is always going to be one main root. They call that the tap root.
Okay, taproot is
That
very.
is the most important root for you to get. And even with that, if it's a really big tree, you're not going to be able to get the whole thing. Just get as much as you possibly can. And then at the end, where you can't, if you can't get it, just take a spade or something and just cut that root right off.
Now, out of sheer ignorance, does that root mainly go vertically straight down from where or is it no? It could
It
go ahead.
depends on the plant. A lot of plants here in Louisiana, because we have a lot of clay soil, they
Uh-huh.
do tend to have shallow roots that tend to spread out more than go deep. But really, it depends on the plant. So you have to, when you're doing a large plant, you have to start digging as far away from the trunk as you can without killing other plants that you might have, right?
Of course, of course.
So yeah, so you start as far away as you can because you don't know where the root is, and you're trying to uncover gently all of those roots that you can. The more roots you get, the more successful you'll be with,
Successful. Okay,
transplant.
dear. Well, I hate to cut you up, but we only got 2 more minutes. I want to thank you so much. We're talking about Zed Daluz, who is the founder of Facebook group New Orleans Gardeners. Got a beautiful logo, almost the color of the background is almost similar to
What?
mine.
You
So
never showed the logo.
yeah, I didn't put it in here since we put it in the static in the post.
Okay, okay.
I apologize. I apologize. But it's similar to the coloring. Hers is a little bit more got butterflies and all this other pretty stuff. Anyway, so you can find her in New Orleans Gardens. She is the founder, and I've got some lovely members who I've had a chance to chat with on Facebook. You've been a tremendous help, I think, for our debut. We could have asked a better hostess, and I think you did a darn good job with showing something that is near and dear to you and how all of us we can't all be horticulturists. We can't have nurseries at our house necessarily, unless we can afford to have the people do it all the time for us. But I think if we're going to do our own home garden, I think you've done a bang up job, especially kind of keeping that tropical kind of look and mixing both the greenery with the florals. So, anything else you want to tell our audience?
Well, tune in again. I hope that you will, and we hope next time we'll have some questions and answers that come in from the audience.
Yeah. Again,
And I've enjoyed it. So,
well, that's the important thing. You've been very comfortable and natural, and so it's just made a big positive as far as I'm concerned. And I can't wait to share it for those who didn't actually see it live because of whatever their other commitments are this time. Thank you so much. We'll be chatting soon. But I'll talk to you before the weekend. You have a good one, but I think I probably will. Okay?
okay, Bob. Thank
Take
you.
care. All right,
Bye.
let me tell the audience goodbye. All right, folks. How do you like that? Wasn't that a great debut? Roots Review. So if you are kind enough to go subscribe, I'm going to beg, to my YouTube channel. Just go into youtube.com if you don't even have the application. Search for R space REVUE. When you find that, you'll see this lovely, handsome bug in a circular thing with red, a lot of red shirt. That you just click on that and you're there. Now they'll have a little word in red, capital subscribe. That's why you subscribe. It's going to ask you for some information. People say, "Oh, I don't give out that. That's too invasive." Please be tolerant. We're not going to be using it as far as I know. Hopefully they won't. But give me a break and give me some numbers because I really need to get them up in order for us to stay live on these channels. And we have 15 channels depending on guests and co-hosts. So please send anybody to me. I'm more than likely will be able to place them in one of these shows with me all by themselves. Until such time, when the next show will be, I believe it's Monday afternoon, a chef, and Tuesday all the way from Hawaii at ours. So we'll be posting that, and some of it we've already posted. So if we don't see you on the weekend, which I probably won't, still stay safe. Don't rush out too quick. We all need to be healthy. Take care. Love you. Bye.